I think probably the one I want to start with is, of course, Saliba becoming the joint all-time uh, most valuable central defender. Obviously, in the league, he joins Van Dijk in reaching the €100 million mark. Van Dijk obviously did it in 2019, which means they obviously overtake Kubarsi, who was at €80 million at Barcelona last year. Guardiola, who hit €80 million in 2023, and Varane, who who hit €80 million. Apologies, for Real Madrid back in 2018 before he obviously moved on to Manchester United. So, you know, we're only talking about a difference of €20 million here, Ben, but it is significant. We're basically saying here Saliba alongside Van Dijk has proved to be one of the most impressive central defenders in the modern era of European football.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, because of inflation and the values and stuff, you would have had the likes of Rio Ferdinand, John Terry in 2004-5 getting to these levels. But I think it's quite fair and quite worthy that Van Dijk and Saliba of this modern era are the two centre backs to get to 100 million. Because there was that period where Van Dijk came in, he won the Champions League and the Premier League for Liverpool. He was the centre back that everyone in the world wanted in their team. People called him a cheat code. You could leave him one on one all the time, and he hit those levels. And I think Saliba's now taken that mantle as well. When we consider that he's still only 25 years of age, I think he's at least worth 20 million more than any other centre back in the world right now. I think he's proven that. Arsenal have just won the Premier League, very unluckily missed out on penalties in the Champions League, but the bedrock of that team was the defence. And whilst Gabriel got a lot of the headlines because he's great from corners going forward, he's chucking himself in front of the ball constantly. Saliba's that quiet, composed antidote next to him, and he just goes about his work so smoothly. And he's had another fantastic season. I don't believe there's a club in world football who wouldn't take William Saliba as one of their two centre backs. And yeah, so quite rightly, he moves to that the 100 million market value. I can't see Arsenal letting him go for any less than that. I think it may even take more. I don't think he's really for sale at the moment. He signed that new contract last summer to go to till 2030 with the club. But yeah, I think it's quite right that Saliba is the most valuable centre back in the world, and he takes that mantle from Van Dijk. They're quite similar profiles as well in terms of that more calm. They don't often have to go to ground or anything like that because they do the work in their head before that. But yeah, he's that profile that is so hard to find, and prime age, I think it's quite right that he hits that 100 million milestone.
Yeah, and interesting enough, like as you said, he's only 25. In terms of his actual achievements in his career, he's still very much at the start of it. I mean, obviously that Premier League is so significant to Arsenal, but it is just one league title. He could potentially go on and win a World Cup this summer. He could go on and win the Champions League with Arsenal in the years to come. So there's a possibility that he could surpass Van Dijk as the most viable centre-back of all time.
Yeah, I think definitely as well, as we say as well, when we consider the inflation and the market we're getting to. The current record for a centre-back was Joshko Gvardiol at the start of the 23-24 season. That was 90 million euros. I think there's no doubt that now, 2 years on, Saliba would go for more than that. So if he does move on in a year's time to Real Madrid or something like that, I would imagine it would be a world record fee for a centre-back.